Shalom, shalom, call haloyim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Chakwadash and Shani Kabad and Kadawala Requab the Kwanyam Nawa Washalayakim Nawa, and that's double honors to our elders and our apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom, Wabarakim, Labakayim, Shayasharala, and that's peace and blessings to the elect of Israel, and as always to the confusion of faces, meaning those who look like the other nations but whose spirits resonate with the truth and that believe and have faith in Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, and Yahweh Shai, the only begotten Son. So to all you brothers out there, no matter how you look, pushing this word in truth and in sincerity, I want to say peace and blessings to you all. So yes, this is going to be a video concerning the relevance and significance, and more importantly, the biblical significance concerning this national emergency that was just instituted by Trump. But before we get into it, because I had about 4 or 5 articles, first we're going to read Job 5 verse 12. It says, "He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise." All right, so now we're going to look up that word enterprise in the Hebrew, because this is going to lay the foundation for the rest of this video. The word, first of all, is thawasha. All right, in the Hebrew for enterprise, we have thawasha, and it says wisdom, sound knowledge, or success. So what is this getting into? Ultimately, what Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is trying to accomplish, his enterprise or his success, is he's trying to fully fulfill, let me word it that way, he's striving to fully fulfill his blessing, which was a carnal blessing to rule the entire world. All right. He's trying to fully fulfill his carnal blessing of ruling the entire world in what he knows, or calls, I guess, what people call rather, the New World Order. And he calls it that too. The New World Order, which is to what? The purpose of the New World Order, or their enterprise, or their thawasha, is to plant or implant the entire world with the microchip, or the RFID chip, in which the microchip, or whatever you want to call it, the RFID chip, that disgusting thing, is the mark of the beast, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. The mark of the beast is the RFID chip, and the plans of the elites of the entire world, the Edomites that rule the entire world, the wicked, their goal, their enterprise, their New World Order, their plans are to chip the entire world. Now, why is that important? Well, we have to bring that out because everything that's happening on earth right now, and specifically I say right now, meaning these times, because everything that's happening right now globally, and more specifically here in America, aka Babylon the Great, everything that's happening is all for the purpose of that New World Order. Nothing is by chance, or nothing is guessing. Nothing just happened to happen and that's just how things are going. No, everything is a calculated step. It's a plan. This is progress. And that national emergency was just a setup towards something bigger that's coming to America, to the entire world, but to America. It was just a stepping stone towards their New World Order. And now, with that being said, we're going to get into the biblical significance of that national emergency that was declared. All right. So first and foremost, a few articles, right? Because one thing that a lot of people aren't mentioning is concerning Trump's speech that he gave. Then he mentioned, right before he mentioned that he was going to declare a national emergency in order to build his wall, or right after he mentioned that, he briefly mentioned that he's thinking about and most likely going to enact one of the executive orders that Obama used back in 2011. That's what he was alluding to. But what's the significance behind that? And will that really help out? Is that really what he was talking about? So upon me doing some research, I typed that in and I came across this article. It says, fact-checking President Donald Trump's claims about a national emergency. All right. So one claim that they're fact-checking right here. Another claim they're fact-checking about drugs and where they're coming. Is it legal ports of entry? Is it not? Another fact-checked about what he said about China. And then right here, it says, quote, this is what Trump said, quote, "We may be using one of the national emergencies that President Barack Obama signed having to do with the cartels, criminal cartels. It's a very good emergency he signed, and we are going to use parts of it in our dealings on cartels." But mind you, and keep in mind that that Trump said that he wants $5 billion to build a wall. So what does signing this back in order? What does signing this have to do with building a wall? It says Obama did use emergency powers to freeze the financial assets of 4 foreign criminal operations, but it's unclear how that would help build a wall, especially because, the facts are out there. Homeland Security, DEA, they're all giving facts and letting him and their whole entire world know that 80 to 90% of the drugs that are confiscated and found at legal ports of entry. So the crisis that he claims, this national crisis, is truly and really just a political crisis. That's all it is. That's all it is. This man just trying to fulfill his promise, even though ultimately he's being controlled. He's being controlled. Nancy Pelosi and everybody in the government are all getting their orders from the elites of society. All right, the elites out of the so-called white man's nation, in which they are the Edomites. That is their true biblical nationality. And the elites out of the nation of Edom are the ones giving their commands to Trump and everybody else, whether you believe it or not. So with that being said, he's creating a crisis, and he's being told to create this crisis for something bigger. There's no coincidence that a few weeks ago, you had some random ass drill. You had a random drill in California. Why is that? What are they preparing for? Because a boxer doesn't just put on headgear and hop in the ring, put on gloves, and starts throwing punches and starts doing combos for no reason. He's working towards something. His enterprise. He has a goal in mind. What they're preparing for is the worst case possible feet down contact in America regarding the military. And how do we know that? Well, before we get into this next article, let's finish out the rest of these few paragraphs. It says, on July 25th, 2011, Obama announced that significant transnational criminal organizations constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. Obama targeted 4 groups, including Mexico's Los Zetas criminal network, a Russian group called the Brothers, Camorra operating out of Italy, and Japan's Yakuza. The order blocked the sale or transfer of any U.S. asset linked to these groups. What does this have to do with building a wall? In July 2017, Trump extended Obama's order for another year. All right. So what is the significance of this national order then? That's the question. So now we jump over here to this article from the New York Times. Trump's emergency declaration is the first since 9/11 to authorize military action. Let's get right into it. President Trump's plan to divert military construction money to fund a border wall is an unusual use of emergency powers. And everybody knows it. Just once in the last 4 decades, so in 40 years, has an emergency declaration authorized military action. In 2001, after the September 11th terrorist attacks, some declarations were subsequently amended to include a call for military action. But Trump's national emergency was the first in 4 decades that enables some kind of military action. Since 2001. What happened in 2001? We all know the terrorist attack that happened in New York. Right? So what are they striving to tell us? You have to think. Put on your thinking caps. Right? Put on your thinking caps and think. Because we are not ignorant to Satan's devices. All right? It says National Emergencies Declaration since 1976. All right, and it gets into all of them. Matter of fact, let me get out of this mode so we can see it more clearly or more clear. All right, here we go. Same exact article, right? By the way, if you brothers don't know this, you can hit this thing in the top left and it'll get rid of all ads. All right, but anyway, I'm gonna unclick it because it's a little bit more clear. So, National Emergency Declaration since 1976. Now check this out. Presidents typically invoke emergency powers to impose sanctions on foreign individuals, groups, or nations that threaten national security, though they have also been used domestically amid public health crises and to regulate exports. Since the National Emergencies Act was passed in 1976, 7 presidents have declared dozens of national emergencies and 32 are still active. Let's check this out. It's very, very, very important and very interesting. So this is by DJ Trump right here. February 15th. It says military action taken to build a border wall. Keep in mind, military action. That's what we're talking about right now. That's the significance of this national emergency. Everything else that he declared, the previous 3, all dealt with sanctions. Now let's look at Barack Obama. Sanctions on what? Central African Republic, sanctions on South Sudan, sanctions on Ukraine, so on and so forth, on Russia, on Yemen. And then you have July 24th, 2011. It says sanctions. Pay attention carefully. It says sanctions for July 24th, 2011 imposed on transnational criminal organizations. This is what Trump was alluding to. Or was he really? Sanctions, and then his very first one for Obama was healthcare. 80 to 90% of the time that national emergencies have been in place, especially in the last 40 years, have been about, they've been sanctions. Look, George Bush, sanctions, and then you come here to September 14th, 3 days after 9/11. It says military action. It says taken in response to the September 11th attacks. This is the true understanding and the true significance behind this national emergency and why it was called. It is the first national emergency that has been called in the last 40 years that has some kind of military involvement. The last one was dealing with what? It was dealing with a terrorist attack. It was dealing with a terrorist attack. Because what? Here we are again. July 24th, 2011. Sanctions imposed on transnational criminal organizations. Nothing to do with the military, but that's what Trump is talking about, except his has to do with the military. And what do we see happening? Like I mentioned before, drills already over there in California. Why are they doing that? Because they're getting prepared for something bigger here in America. And we know what it is, because what? Spoiler alert, if you don't know. Well, according to the Bible, martial law is coming. And an economic collapse is coming. People like Peter Schiff have been saying these things for a while now, talking about some kind of economic collapse, a financial crisis. There are so many people out there that have been stating these things. And we're letting you know that according to the Bible, biblical prophecy states that an economic collapse is also coming, that martial law is coming. And we can see the stage right now being set up for such. All right. Why is all this? Well, before we get to the next article, because I only have 2 more, and that's it. First, let's get a scripture. Revelation 12 verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea." Woe means death or destruction. It says, "For the devil," and who's the devil? The so-called white man. Why is that? Because he is a deceiver. That's what devil means. We're not just saying these things because we're mad and we're angry. No, the Bible literally calls the so-called white man the devil because he is a deceiver. "For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath." Why is that? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. How does he know he has a short time? Because he sees the true Israelites rising up in every major city, in every country all across the globe. That's why he knows he has a short time. So he's doing his best right now to come down on us so that he can fulfill his blessing and put a chip, the mark of the beast, put a microchip in everybody on earth. So let's grab these last few articles and let's conclude. All right, I got a few more, 3 more. It says, "Obama's plan to seize control of our economy and our lives." Now, why is this important? Because Obama signed something as well. Obama signed something else. And what year was it? It was March 16th, 2012. That's why I have this article that was written April 29th, 2012. Now, Barack Obama on March 16th, 2012 signed something called an Executive Order 13603. This is important because this is actually an executive order that has to do with military involvement, that has to do with military action. So let's read it, because this is something, and let me tell you this, let me say this too. 2019 is already going to be lit in terms of the prophecies. However, if this national emergency makes it all the way to the Supreme Court, which it probably will, and then the Supreme Court sides with Trump, man, you better watch out for this executive order right here. 13603, and also what else? Rex 84. You better watch out for programs like that. So let's get into this article really quickly. We're not going to read a lot of it. It says, "President Obama has made clear that he's determined to continue pushing his progressive agenda regardless of constitutional limitations on his power. He aims to have his way by using or issuing more and more executive orders. The most ominous, sign of possible things to come appeared, there it is, on March 16th, 2012, when President Obama signed Executive Order 13603 about National Defense Resources Preparedness." And keep in mind that Trump is creating a crisis. There is no crisis on the border. He is creating a crisis. Keep that in mind. It says, "This 10-page document is a blueprint for a federal takeover." It's a blueprint for a federal takeover. And this is proof too. That Barack Obama is a wicked man, first. Secondly, he's not an Israelite just because he has brown skin. He is from a man named Ham, who are the so-called Africans today. He is Hamitic. He's not an Israelite. And thirdly, it also tells you that all these presidents are all set up and they're all working together. Get your mind out from under the rock. This is obvious. Let me read it again. It says, "This 10-page document is a blueprint for a federal takeover of the economy that would dwarf the looming Obamacare takeover of the health insurance business. Specifically, Obama's plan involves seizing control of all commodities and products that are capable of being ingested by either human beings or animals, It involves seizing control of all forms of energy. It involves seizing control of all forms of civil transportation. It involves seizing control of all usable water from all sources. It involves seizing control of health resources, drugs, biological products, medical devices, materials, facilities, health supplies, services, and equipment. I mean, god dang. It says it involves seizing control of forced labor or induction, as the executive order delicately refers to military conscription. All right. Moreover, federal officials would issue regulations to prioritize and allocate resources. Each government bureaucracy shall act as necessary and appropriate. That's the point. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, that's the point right there. Of course, you can finish out that article if you want. Just type this in and let me unclick that again. You can see it's on Forbes. All right. Another reputable news outcome or news outlet or source, if you will. All right. So I just wanted to show that because that is an executive order that Obama signed that could be used. All right. In these times to come. Now, why would something like this executive order 13603 or something such as Rex 84 be signed into effect? Why would something like that happen? Well, mind you, right? And I made a video about this before. You can actually go to my YouTube page or click on it, right? And you can go to videos and scroll through. And I made a video about it about 3 weeks ago, I believe, about some kind of a terrorist attack in which Esau Edom is preparing for an EMP attack here in Babylon the Great, here in America. Whether he does it himself and it's a false flag, or whether it happens by some other country, Russia or China. However it happens, Esau Edom is preparing for some kind of a false flag, or rather some kind of a terrorist attack, a cyber attack more than likely, in which there's an attack on the grid and there's a lights out all across the country. Something like that is very, very, very possible in happening because he has to create some kind of order out of chaos. That has to be another stepping stone towards implanting everybody with that microchip, forcing everybody to take that microchip. All right, so now we're going to jump over here because there's something called a trigger event. Okay, it says, what is a triggering event? A triggering event is a tangible or intangible barrier or occurrence which, once breached or met, causes another event to trigger. And that's all I'm going to read on that article right there. Usually a trigger event has to do with, like as an entrepreneur, you can have trigger events in contracts in dealing with startup companies. And then you also have trigger events when dealing with sales or being a salesman. However, I came across this definition and I liked it a lot because there's going to be some kind of a trigger event here in America to make all hell break loose. And more than likely, it's going to be what? Trump is creating a crisis. Let's bring everything back home right now and then close up this video. Trump is creating and manifesting that there is some kind of crisis on the southern border in which the whole world knows that there isn't. Why is he doing that? Because all of a sudden, what he's going to do, let me say more than likely going to do, is he's going to make it seem as if some terrorists got in because there's no border wall. Whether he gets money for it or not, it's not built. He's starting it, but it's not fully built. Now terrorists got in, and then now all of a sudden there's some kind of a quote-unquote cyber attack. Or there's an EMP that's dropped. And then boom, just like that, you have a lights out all across the country, all across America. And then from there, you can enact certain executive orders like 13603. Then you can exact and sign certain programs like Rex 84. Now, what is that called? That's called what? Order ab chaos. All right, order ab chaos. Creating order out of some kind of chaos. All right. It says, what does order out of chaos mean? The trick of creating chaos and then seizing power under the pretense of putting things back in order is a tried and true method of deception and manipulation. And that's what we're heading into right now. These are the times that we are heading into. I'm going to read one last article and then I'm done, I promise. All right. It says false flag. What is a false flag? Definition of false flag. It says false flag terrorism occurs when elements within a government stage a secret operation whereby government forces pretend to be a targeted enemy while attacking their own forces or people. Watch. Something like this is bound to happen. Now, I can't tell you that it's going to happen, but all I can tell you is this. We can measure the times and we can look at Esau's track record, especially even going back to the Roman Empire, which they were Edomites. And we can tell you that this is something that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has used before. False flags to create some kind of order out of chaos. And what's going to be the order? Well, you take that microchip. This is how they're striving to fulfill their enterprise. Job 5:12. All right. But with that being said, this is already a pretty lengthy video. And I pray that it was edifying and clear and straight to the point. I know I brought out lots of articles, but I pray that it was clear and concise. And I want to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak. All right. And let me also say this too before I close out. These are the times to stay vigilant, to stay circumspect, and to be in heavy prayer, walking on eggshells, praying to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai that he protects you in these times to come. All right. That's why we make these videos, so we can edify the elect and warn the elect to get your faith right with your power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. Double honors to our elders and our apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the elect, the Lord's elect out of the nation of Israel. Shalom.